Hey there, this is Angela. Welcome or welcome back, and I'm kicking off the next weekly garden update. It is Saturday, April 17th, and it's been kind of a cold, drizzly kind of day. So I did get my seedlings out, and some of them had to come back in, the pepper seedlings, because it started dropping into the low 50s, and they're so heat sensitive. Peppers and eggplants, they both came back in. Tomatoes and some of the flower seedlings are still outside, so they should be good until it drops down a little further. So right now I'm just going out to check on the big garden. Come along. It was raining pretty steadily earlier. Now it's pretty much stopped. It's just little sprinkles, nothing too bad. Just gonna see how things are doing over here. I haven't been out here since early this morning. It's always good to be hands-on in the garden, just to see how everything's doing. My new cabbage seedlings planted. So they are looking good. Yeah, all 5 of them are looking really good. I got my garlic, and I did put some beets, carrots, and radishes in this bed a little while back. I noticed that the beets and the radishes are coming up, but so far not the carrots. This might be my last year of trying with carrots. I feel like they're so finicky, and I don't really eat a whole lot of carrots, so if I can't grow my own, it's no big deal. Then the big bed with cabbages and onions and I put some bok choy seeds in there. They've sprouted, but they're tiny still. Onions are looking good, and I'd like to see how my cabbages are doing. I had an issue with something eating the leaves. I'm not sure how things are going. I check on them every day, at least a couple of times a day. And it looks like there's been no further damage. So that could indicate that putting this netting on has done some good, but we might have to wait and see how that all pans out. Take a quick peek at the hops that I transplanted here the other day. They're looking really good. It looks like they've bounced back from their transplant shock for the most part. And I do need to get them kind of trained up on the trellis. I don't think they're ready yet. I keep kind of poking them through the lattice there, and they keep falling back down. So we've got time. We'll revisit that. Onions in there, looking pretty good. Those were some of my smaller onions, and I can definitely tell the seedlings aren't as robust as the other ones. And my leafy greens bed, looking good. The little sprouts are getting bigger pretty soon. For some of these, it'll be time to start thinning them out a bit. My borage. And so what does that? What makes is that a slug? What eats these tiny little holes in the leaves randomly? I don't know. Dill and rosemary. These are a bunch of burning bush that I'm gonna get planted this spring really soon up the front of the property. So that might be just about all I do out here today. There's not too much to be done, so I'll check in tomorrow. Hey there, it is Sunday, April 18th, and I've done a couple of things out here today just to prepare for the coming planting time. In this back raised bed here, went ahead and installed these, they're like these climbing trellis things that I used for beans last year, but I think this year in this bed I'm putting melons and then squash along the front. So I'm just going to let the melons climb up along these little folding, they're like little accordion folding trellises. I think I got those at Gardener's Supply. So there's just two of them. This one starts here and just kind of folds, and then that's the end of it. And then the second one starts. I was previously going to use some old iron frames that we pulled out of the woods behind our house. They've been discarded for a long time. Some of them are falling apart because of rust. So this is why I decided not to use those after all. I love using found objects because I think it looks pretty cool, but I don't really feel safe even working around that. It's like sharp rust edges. Now this tall one here is in better shape, this one in the front. So I might actually put that over on the other side of the house and use it to grow some vining flowers up on. So we'll see, but those other pieces we'll probably just discard. And I'm starting to get my grow bags set up. I do tomatoes in these, and I have a bunch of cages that I've made out of concrete reinforcing wire. And when you buy this, it comes in a big, bulky, heavy roll, and it's already rusted at the store. So you might be wondering, like, well, how come I'm using that rusted piece but not the other? This one's not falling apart with sharp edges all over it, so I feel a little bit safer. So with that bulk row that we bought at probably Home Depot or Lowe's, I made these cages. I ended up having to use 2 of those bulk rows over time, like maybe in a period of 1 to 2 years, to furnish me with all the cages that I needed. So they were made originally to fit over my 5-gallon buckets, but I'm not using those now. And luckily they do fit pretty well inside these grow bags. Sometimes it's a little tight trying to get them in there, but overall it fits pretty well. So I'm going to do tomatoes again in these grow bags. And in this set over here, I'm going to do corn. I haven't grown corn in a couple of years just because the last time I did it, it was successful and I got ears of corn, only the critters got to the ears before I could. So we didn't harvest any corn. Just as they were all ripening, I think it was the squirrels that got it. So this year, I'm going to be more creative. I don't know if I'll keep these cages in here, and then once the corn is planted, maybe kind of wrap it with bird netting. I'm telling you, you got to get really creative against all these critters. So we'll see. I'm still kind of undecided on best practice for that, but I've got a little bit of time. So that's pretty much what I've done today. It's a beautiful day. It's 61 degrees and the sun's out. It's nice. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey there, it's Monday, April 19th, and today's been kind of a low-key day in the garden. I just watered and made up some new plant labels for the ones that were faded out, and tried to get some more pots ready for the seedlings, i.e. just filled them with some soil and some peat moss. Hey there, it's Wednesday, April 21st, and this is what we woke up to. This is looking out the window, the cold snap that was predicted to come through for a lot of states, like the Midwest and a lot of the upper South, and maybe even more, really came through. I was expecting a freeze, but I wasn't expecting snow. It's kind of pretty though. I'll take you out for a closer look. Snow is always so pretty here just because of the trees. This tree, the weight of the snow has got it resting on the porch rail. I always love the quiet after a snow. I mean, it helps that it's 6:30 in the morning, but it's always very quiet after snow. There are a few little birds chirping. You can hear them. So I'm gonna get my day started, and I'll probably be out later checking on things in the garden once I've had some breakfast and I'm up and at 'em. It's later in the day and almost all of our snow's melted. That was like the weirdest snow because it was probably about an inch deep, I guess, and it's almost all gone. There's little patches of it here and there. I've been out just to see how the plants are doing. It looks like they did pretty good. I was concerned about how well my mosquito netting held up, so I'll show you. It did all right. Everything looks like it did pretty good. The little tents over my cabbages are fine. Of course, they have this stronger netting on top. Some of the snow did fall through, but nothing significant. Now on this bed, it did sort of make my mosquito netting like cave in a little bit, but not bad. And primarily that was due to this stake in the corner here not being anchored firmly in very deep, and it was like it had like fallen over a little bit. So I straightened that out, and then it looks like this one down here kind of bent that I didn't see earlier. So the other one did something just like this. So I'll get that straightened out. Other than that, it did really well. And the only plants that I really covered, which I'll do again tonight because we still probably going to get a frost or freeze tonight, was my dill and my borage, because those this is my first year growing them, but from what I've read they are frost sensitive. So I just put these other two pots upside down on top of them. It seemed to work fine. I don't think I'm gonna be doing too much out here today. There's just no point. There's nothing that can be put in the ground, or I don't really think it's advisable to start putting any seeds in even until the weather warms up, which won't be for 2 more nights. So I think we're still going to have frost warnings for the next 2 nights. So I may be back tomorrow with an update, or maybe not, and if not, hopefully at least by Friday. Hey there, it's Friday, April 23rd, and I haven't been on too much this week just because it's been so cold. There hasn't been much going on in the garden this week. We've had frost warnings 3 nights in a row, and snow and sleet, so I haven't been out too much. It's nice out today though, and I think we're done with frost for this year. Dare I say it again, but I think for real this time. So I've got a couple of things I'm working on out here today. One of the things I want to do today is to get this Forsythia shrub trimmed up. It's kind of gotten a little crazy, and this poor bed here has perennials and that shrub, but you can see that it's pretty overgrown. So one day after a good hard thorough rain, I'm going to get out here and weed it so the plants have a chance to survive, the wanted plants, and give it a good mulch, kind of revive it a little bit. My plan was to build upon this and kind of expand it out into the front yard area here, which I still will do, but gosh, it's just gotten pushed to the side with other things. didn't end up taking too much off, but it still looks pretty scraggly, and I feel like my first mistake was to put this plant right here. From what I know about Forsythias, they need room to just get wild and crazy and just branch out everywhere and kind of sprawl. And this is not the right bed for that. So I'm debating on just chopping the whole thing back to the ground and then, you know, getting the roots out with a shovel, or just trying to prune it hard, hoping that when it grows back, it'll just be more compact. But that's something that would then need to be maintained every year. And I'm not sure, if, like I said, if this is the right place for this plant. So I might have to think on that a little bit more. Other than right up around the house, we don't have too many what you would call like landscaped garden type areas here. It's mostly the veggie garden, and in the rest of the property it's trees with just a couple little random beds that I try to keep tidy and keep something nice planted in there, and mulch it like every couple of years or so. It's not perfect by far, but we like kind of the messy woodland setting here, so that's okay. I've never been one of like a perfect type of gardener where everything looks so tidy, because that's like way too much upkeep for me. I like things to be just a little bit wilder, kind of messy. You can let it go a little bit, just because who has that much time, you know? So one of the other beds that I do usually make an effort with is this one here, which has peonies growing in it. So those will hopefully make it with the deer pressure. And I haven't defined, like edged and weeded and mulched this bed in a couple years, so that'll get done really well this year. Last year we just didn't have too much incentive to do it, because we weren't having a big gathering, and we were kind of like everyone else in that big pandemic funk, you know, just maintaining and watching a lot of YouTube and holing up. So this year's different, and it'll be much better. The person who built this house and lived in it for the first 15 years and then sold it to us, his daughter is an artist. She's a sculptor. So we have all these crazy sculptures all around the place, like these two here. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. They kind of look like maybe dinosaurs or something like that, but they're pretty neat. But there's a bunch of things like this here and there all around, which is one of the things that attracted us to this place. Well, the trees first and foremost, and then we couldn't get over all these crazy pieces of art around everywhere. It's kind of neat. There's another one right over here. He took a lot of them with him when he moved. I mean, I don't know how he managed to load those onto a truck. I'm sure they're heavy, but a lot of them that are kind of built into the ground with, I guess, rebar or some kind of support structure internally stayed here on the property, of course. So this is another one. I think they're pretty cool. I'm sure I'll show you guys more of these as time goes on. And I think that's probably going to be it for today. It was a really short weekly garden update just because I wasn't out here too much doing anything, and there wasn't really too much to show you that would be interesting at all. So it was short, but that's good. We all need the rest because real gardening season is coming now that we most likely have reached our last frost. Now, like, the real hard work begins. So you guys have a great weekend, and until next time, this is Angela signing off with a friendly reminder to get out there and play in the dirt.